Saints fans and Houdads from all over the world, happy Sunday to you and your families. Hope everything's going well throughout the pandemic, and stay safe and stay inside. I am here with Bob Rose of the Bayou Blitz, as well as contributing reporter for the New Orleans Saints site on Sports Illustrated, the Saints News Network. How you doing this morning, Bob?
Well, happy Sunday morning to you, Kyle, and to all of our viewers and listeners. And I concur with you. I hope everybody is staying safe, healthy, and happy. Other than that, it's been a busy Sunday morning so far.
Already, man, you broke some great news for the New Orleans Saints. Well, some may think it's great, some may not. So the New Orleans Saints are set to sign Jameis Winston as one of the backups for current starting quarterback Drew Brees. Tell us a little bit about what you know about any details or what led up to the Saints bringing Winston on as a backup.
Well, first, I first saw the story, and it was first broken by Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports. And then after a couple confirmations, like you said, we got to work on breaking the story. But the details as of right now, financial details aren't available, but the New Orleans Saints and former Tampa Bay Buccaneer quarterback Jameis Winston are finalizing the terms of a one-year contract for Jameis to join the New Orleans Saints. And like you said, the idea is for him to come in and back up Drew Brees as the Saints enter the 2020 season. Jameis is 26 years old, just finished his fifth year in the NFL, all with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after entering the league as the first overall draft choice in the 2015 draft. A lot of knocks on Jameis, through his young career, has had some maturity issues and some off the field incidents. And then as far as his on the field production, passing yardage wise, he's as good as it gets. He's coming off of a 5,000 yard season, one of just 8 quarterbacks in NFL history to do that, with Drew Brees, of course, being the only one to do it multiple times. Right. Now the downside to Jameis is he's been a turnover machine through his career. He's thrown 88 career interceptions, including 30 last year, which led the NFL. As a matter of fact, Jameis is the only quarterback in NFL history to have a season where he had over 30 touchdown passes and 30 interceptions. So he has some mechanics to clean up. But as far as a productive passer and his fit into the Saints system, I like it. I like the signing.
Yeah, and a lot of people believe, because of his turnover issues in the past, that Jameis will be a liability in this particular position with the New Orleans Saints. How do you really feel? Do you think that with Sean Payton and learning under Drew Brees, at least for one season, he is going to be a viable option just in case Taysom Hill gets injured? Because we know now that Taysom Hill is penciled in as the number 2. So where does Jameson fit in? And, the Saints also drafted Stevens.
Yeah, they did. And we'll start with that. The Saints traded back into the 7th round of the draft yesterday afternoon and drafted Tommy Stevens, the former quarterback at Penn State, former backup quarterback at Penn State, and starting quarterback at Mississippi State. Now, Stevens brings a lot of the same kind of skill set that Taysom Hill does. He was moved all around. Stevens was at Penn State before settling in as the regular starter with the Bulldogs of Mississippi State last year. And you're right, Sean Payton has never wavered from his statement that Taysom Hill is his number 2 quarterback. But where Jameis Winston fits in to the Saints system, he gives them a viable, experienced starter to back up Drew Brees, just in case Drew goes down. A similar situation that we saw with Teddy Bridgewater last year. And that's going to allow Taysom to continue his versatile duties throughout the Saints offense. We heard Coach Payton show some concern last year, even when inserting Bridgewater in the starting lineup for those 5 games Drew was down for. Coach Payton had stated how it sort of handcuffed his offense because he didn't want to do too much with Taysom Hill in case he needed Taysom as a quarterback. Well, now with Winston as your number two, a proven starter in the NFL, Taysom can continue being running back, H-back, tight end, wide receiver, and gimmick quarterback. And so that's a big benefit to the Saints offense in that regard. And you look at Winston, and we mentioned his production at the onset of the show this morning. But more so than that, you look at the Tampa Bay team while he was there. They did not ever have a viable running attack to support him. They were often among the most pass attempts Tampa Bay was, throughout the NFL, including throwing the most last year. Tampa Bay has given Winston some great receivers to work with: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard and Cameron Braid at tight end, not to mention Adam Humphries a couple of years ago. Jameis will have that same kind of receiving threat in New Orleans, certainly with Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, and the newly signed Emmanuel Sanders. But New Orleans gives him the type of running game he's never had. Tampa Bay was never able to protect their quarterback. Winston was sacked an unbelievable amount of times in Tampa Bay. And any quarterback that's under pressure, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to throw interceptions. They're going to fumble the football. He comes to a New Orleans team that protects its quarterback as well as anybody in the league, one that just spent a first-round draft choice on an interior offensive lineman to boot. So it is the type of system that Jameis Winston, I believe, can be successful in if asked to play.
Man, you bring up some good points, man. We have some comments from our followers. Jerry says, what up? And we are signing Jameis. Yes, Jerry, we are signing Jameis. And Aaron Davis, Jameis has had 3 different head coaches in his young career as well. No matter how good you are in terms of the raw talent, being thrown into different systems like that will deter anyone. Ask Baker Mayfield. Aaron, that is so correct, man. And Bob, you alluded to this, having multiple coaching staffs, multiple different people signing on with the team and not being in a consistent offensive package most of his career has really done some damage to Jameis as well. And we have to be fair to the young man. If he did have a consistent coach like a Sean Payton or someone who could be able to help him with his mechanics, help him with his understanding of the game, that would have benefited him, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Baker Mayfield of Cleveland is a great example, and one of many throughout the league currently and throughout NFL history. You need continuity in your offensive system, and that can only benefit not only your quarterback but the players around him. And Sean Payton has been with New Orleans for 14 seasons. He's not going anywhere until he's ready to go somewhere. He has one of the most prolific offensive systems really in NFL history and certainly in the league right now. So this is a system that not only Jameis Winston, but really any quarterback, with the proper mechanics can come in and be successful.
Yeah, proper mechanics, as well as people keep on forgetting. Jameis can sling that football down the field, guys. And one knock on Drew is the fact that he does not have the arm strength he used to have. But after 20 years in the league, you have the same type of mechanics as well. My wife said that too. You're not the same guy as you used to be 20 years ago. But anyway, John Smith, you wanted Jameis when he was released. Yeah, a lot of people did. And let's see, Stuart Blair, cool as a quarterback. He backs up the trees, upgraded the line. New season. Who that in Australia? What's going on there, Stuart? And Brian Russell. Well, Coach Payton can't fix him. He can't be fixed. Wow. Okay. I'm open to the signing. I thought it would be Cam. A lot of people thought Cam would have a possibility of being signed instead of Jameis. What are your thoughts there, Bob?
And it's something that you and I discussed on the Bayou Blitz 2 months ago, as the regular season was winding down, or really as it stopped. and we were starting to preview free agents. Listen, and Cam Newton's looking for a job just like Jameis Winston was. We believed that both quarterbacks were going to wait to see how the draft played out, before they chose and started negotiating with prospective new teams. If you're comparing the two between Jameis Winston and Cam Newton, they have both had success in this league. Cam Newton was the NFL MVP, I believe, in 2015. Mm-hmm. But Cam is a different kind of cat. No pun intended, being a former Carolina Panther. He's not the accurate quarterback that Jameis Winston is. Jameis, like you said, Kyle, Jameis can sling it all over the field. Cam is a guy, I don't want to call him a system quarterback because that tends to knock the player's abilities. So I don't mean it to come out that way. But Coach Sean Payton and offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael have a very stringent offensive system built on timing and precision. And that has never been a strength of Cam Newton. He's more of an improviser. And in my opinion, because of that, Jameis Winston is the far better fit between the two quarterbacks for the Saints offensive system.
Good points. A lot of people I see a couple of comments, they feel as though he's a cancer to the locker room. He will possibly be a detriment to the locker room in the New Orleans Saints. Strong locker room. We keep on forgetting. We have Drew Brees, still have Cam Jordan. We have a lot of veterans. We have Malcolm Jenkins returning to the team, who is very solid person in the locker room. We have some really outstanding veterans in the locker room already. So I don't think Jameis is going to be a problem. And guys, you keep on forgetting, we have Sean Payton as the head coach. You think Sean Payton's going to allow anyone to be a cancer inside of his locker room? He'll get you out as fast as you come, right?
After Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And let's see here. We have one more comment. Winston had LASIK eye surgery in February. He has eye problems. Okay. Well, what do you think about that? And Aussie from down under, what's up, mate? Craig Scott, what do you think about that?
And it is a valid point, and thank you for bringing that up. Jameis Winston did have LASIK eye surgery right after the season, and certainly Jameis is not going to come out and say that's why I threw so many interceptions. But it can only help this young man. And we'll see how successful the surgery was. Certainly his ability to break down defenses, though, and he can make plays on the move. He's not a Lamar Jackson type of mobile quarterback, but he can escape pressure and make a good solid throw on the run. Saints fans, look at Jameis Winston's career against New Orleans a couple of different times. Kyle, you and I spoke about it earlier this morning. You remember a couple of years ago at the season finale, Jameis led a length of the field game-winning drive in the fourth quarter, and he has shown flashes of being an all-pro caliber quarterback. I'm not calling him that. I am just stating that in that way as a testament to his abilities. And listen, I know the character concerns are an issue. He does have a checkered past going back to Florida State and earlier in his career with the Buccaneers. But teammates, coaches, and even Bruce Arians, the current Tampa Bay head coach, who doesn't put up with any BS either, they have talked about Winston's maturity level rising within the last couple of years. And like you pointed out, Kyle, this is a rock solid Saints locker room as far as veteran leadership and high character guys. Breeze, Teron Armstead, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Malcolm Jenkins. We can go on and on. Not to mention the guy at the top, Sean Payton, excuse me. So Jameis, they wouldn't have made this signing. Saints wouldn't have, without being really confident in Jameis's fit into that team chemistry and just overall fit, as well as Jameis knowing his role ahead of time. So don't make any mistake about that either.
I'm just going to say this, Bob, and And guys, thank you for the comments. You guys bring some excellent points. Glenn doesn't eat crab legs. Well, he's going to be around seafood more in New Orleans as well, right? So
pays for him, right?
There's a Publix in New Orleans too, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think the locker room is strong. I agree with you, Didi. And I believe money-wise, as far as Marcellus, we don't know the terms yet, but we do know that it's going to be an interesting case to be able to have Jameis as well as Taysom Hill, just in case Taysom gets injured. Or let's say he doesn't get injured. Let's say we need to have somebody to just come in, step in for Drew. If something happens again, will Jameis be that person? We don't know. We will see. Will Taysom be that person? We don't know. We will see, right?
Hopefully not. Hopefully it's true.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I think when we look at everything, we will find out more details for you. Taysom, yes, Aaron, he has not signed his tender yet, but it doesn't mean that this is one way to get rid of Taysom, especially with the signing of the young, not the signing, but the drafting of Stevens from Mississippi State. What did that signal to you? Is he more of a camp body or scout team guy? Or do you think that the team really will utilize him in his first season in New Orleans?
As far as a quarterback is concerned, Tommy Stevens is a project. And Coach Payton undoubtedly wants to see if he can mold him and refine his quarterbacking abilities. But there's a lot to be said for what Stevens was able to do in other offensive positions when he was at Penn State before he transferred to Mississippi State. And I think that intrigued, Sean Payton as well. Okay, we're going to see what Stevens brings to the table as far as a quarterback is concerned. But I've had success with this Taysom guy, moving him around. If Tommy Stevens is willing to do the same thing, maybe we do have a replacement for Taysom Hill, the jack of all trades offensive weapon, if Taysom moves on in free agency in 2021. So I don't necessarily think that Stevens is a camp body, but certainly his role on the team is not guaranteed either.
Right. John, he's better off being a Swiss Army knife. Okay. I'm disgusted. Winston's a punk. Wow, Amy, coming strong with the comments on Sunday morning. He's a punk and a terrible QB. I loved to be wrong. Oh, well,
I'd love if you were wrong. And certainly, like we mentioned, his character concerns. His maturity has been an issue throughout his career earlier. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that what we've heard out of Tampa Bay from different reporters that Kyle and I know personally, as well as Bruce Arians and some of his Tampa Bay teammates, they've all been saying that the maturity level in Jameis Winston has risen over the last couple of seasons. If so, that's great. I don't think Winston is going to be a divisive presence in this locker room, though. I think the characters are too strong in New Orleans.
Well, and Marcellus, you bring up a good point. He said he has to slow down and be able to read defense a lot better, right? Now, if you have a leaky offensive line, you're not going to have time to read a defense. Right. And that's one of the reasons why the Saints drafted Cesar Ruiz at number 1. Larry Warford this past season had a lot of leaky situations. Drew Brees' right thumb, right? As well as the poor performance in the playoff games, as well as the Atlanta Falcons game. The Saints lost the first game in the Superdome. So, guys, Jameis Winston is a backup. He's not here to spell Drew Brees. He's not here to take over Drew's job. Let's keep that in mind as well. Everything is better around an offensive line. Yeah, he has a better offensive line, Johnny. You're correct. Better running backs and as well as better coaching, of course. Amy, I hear you. Don't cry. It's going to be all right, baby. All right. And Brian, why did they give an injured Pete all the money and not just another strong guy in the draft? Well, you're going to have to talk to Sean Payton about that. But Andrews Pete brings continuity to that offensive line, man. And one thing that Sean Payton loves is what?
Versatility.
And stability. Right? All right, guys, he knows. All right, guys, we will bring you more on the Jameis Winston signing. Thank you for tuning in and chiming in with Bob and I. Oh, I got to put up this comment here. Bob, that is bad. That is a bad. Oh, man, that's funny. And we got Billy here. Listen, smart move. Okay. All right, cool. And Brian, one more. He won't be a Drew Brees backup. Taysom is. All right, Kyle T. Mosley of the Saints News Network with Bob Rose of the Bayou Blitz, as well as the Saints News Network. Hey, Bob, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Well, first, I'd like to echo Kyle's sentiments. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday morning, and thank you, as always, for your support and your kindness to both of us and through the network in general. As far as my personal work, I can be found on Facebook under Bob Rose. Also Twitter at BobbyR2613, and you can follow Kyle Mosley, myself, and a host of other talented writers at the Saints News Network and SI.com.
Okay, what's that Twitter handle again? Bobby R at what?
Bobby at BobbyR2613.
Okay, let's put that up for the people. That's how you can find Bob on Twitter. Go ahead and follow him, as well as follow us at Saints News on Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter. This is Kyle T. Mosley of the Saints News Network. Hold on, we got two other comments just came in, Bob. Oh, all right. Who dat to you guys, and you guys have a great Sunday. Take care. Bye.